Howdy, Stoveminders. It's December 30th, 2020. Happy Wednesday. The year's almost over, but there was one last big 2020 debacle that awaited us. I hate to be the bearer of sad news, especially as it regards a team I've been a fan of for 16 years. A team that's historically behaved like this, been bad, right? But a team I watched rise from the ashes like a phoenix the past decade. I thought things changed. I thought there might have been a little bit of a culture change or something, or, this team started to win more than they ever have before in a span of just a few years. But that team, the Chicago Cubs, has raised the white flag, and no gentleman this banner has, no W. Surprise, motherfucker, it's a rebuild. We should have seen this coming. Well, actually, we had hours of notices about Yu Darvish getting traded from the Cubs to the San Diego Padres. The type of high-stakes story development for which I love the MLB offseason. The proverbial hot stove was scalding in the past few days as the Padres swooped in like a flock of California vultures to pick over the corpses of losing mentality franchises, the remains of organizations run by morons like Stuart Sternberg and Tom Ricketts. I expect the Devil Rays to make moves like the trading of Cy-certified ace Blake Snell just 2 months after his early dismissal cost that Rays team the World Series. And frankly, my initial reaction was too hard on Tampa. It was not a bargain for San Diego in that 4-1 trade. The Rays got right-handed pitcher Luis Patino, who was expedited to the majors in a bizarre 2020, but he's a top 100 prospect, a consensus top 30 pre-2020. That's Baseball America, Baseball Prospectus, and MLB Pipeline. Rays might have a ringer there in Patino. Who knows? In the days of Darvish trade negotiations leading up, the Cubs really wanted right-handed pitcher, and take note, Cubs fans, another pitching prospect, Cole Wilcox, drafted third round this year, but projected first rounder. He's a Ray now. Maybe Mejia unbusts himself. And who cares? They have a stone cold catcher in Mike Zunino. Matter of fact, when talks got deep, catchers came up. The Padres need one. They just traded one. Who the hell is Austin Nola? The Cubs have two good ones. Enter Victor Caratini, backup catcher and Yu's personal catcher, a very good framer. I'm talking 98th percentile on StatCast, a 27-year-old under team control for 3 more years, just $1.5 million projected next year, batting an average of .250 with a .699 OPS over 4 seasons, an underrated player in my opinion as a CUBScaster. He's now a Padre. Adios and buena suerte, Victor. It's okay. Cubs were trading from a rare place of surplus with Wilson Contreras there for 2 more years and Miguel Amaya lurking down in the minors. Yet the Padres' top catching prospect and consensus top 100, Luis Campusano, came up as a piece going to Chicago. Not so. Off the table. What are you talking about? So the Cubs trade a quality backstop and, not to mention, an excellent starting pitcher in Yu Darvish, a diligent student of the game, a true strikeout artist, one of my favorite pitchers since he came to the MLB in 2012, 8 years ago, when current Padres GM A.J. Preller was in the Texas Rangers front office. Well, what a reunion. As I said, I love watching Darvish pitch. His combination of velocity and movement and his super deep arsenal are just a joy. Especially over the past couple seasons. Yeah, he was terrible in 2018, his first year in Chicago, and his only World Series experience was the disgrace at the hands of the Asterisks in 2017 when Yu was a Dodger. And now he's back in California, 34 years old, and looking for a ring or something after narrowly losing the 2020 Cy Young Award to Trevor Bauer. Darvish has a great resume. How quickly we forget how dominant this guy was in his first 3 seasons in the big leagues before tearing his UCL in 2015, 3 straight All-Star nominations, and a near Cy in 2013, losing to Max Scherzer. And I'll put up the stats from that year to show you how close it was. So an almost 2-time Cy Younger. You came back from that elbow injury, the UCL. He had an all-star year in 2017 when he was traded to the Dodgers, and then he signed that 6-year, $126 million contract with the Cubs, which looked like a disaster when elbow and tricep issues came up. He struggled with command well into 2019, but something clicked that summer, and in 2020, Darvish was phenomenal. 76 innings, 93 strikeouts, 14 walks, just 5 home runs allowed after giving up a league-leading 33 in 2019, an ERA of 2.01, and a league-leading FIP of 223. Even if you, as a Padres fan, have a few hang-ups about his health history and his age and his recent past yips, just look at that strikeout average. 11.1 per 9 innings pitched over an 8-year career, currently the all-time record for qualified pitchers, and he's done it consistently. Every single year almost, he's at least had 1 per inning every single year, and he's had 11 per inning in almost every single season of his career. As I said, a strikeout artist who creates his own pitches, who thrived in the Cubs clubhouse after getting a hold of their pitching technology. Yu Darvish was by far the Cubs MVP last year, our best player. And when every single one of these hitters decided to leave it at home, swinging fucking wieners out there and walking back to the dugout on every play, you still stood tall. And I'm talking in particular about Game 2 of the Wild Card Series versus the Marlins, the last Cubs game played, the last Cubs game for Yu Darvish, and the last Cubs game I'm going to watch for a while. Straight up. I don't like watching a losing team. 16 years, I said, from 2009 to 2012, I don't know if I watched a single Cubs game except the one I watched live at Safeco Field when when Alfonso Soriano hit a game-winning home run at extras. That was pretty cool. Good for him. Good for you. He deserves better. And he'll get better with a Padres team that's stacked to the ceiling with names and talent. Darvish will headline a rotation featuring Blake Snell, Dinelson Lamet, Chris Paddock, maybe Mackenzie Gore, and in a couple years, Mike Clevenger, because Darvish is under contract for 3 more years until the age of 37 with $62 million to be doled out. The Cubs will pay him $3 million as Cy Young bonus. Sayonara and ganbare, Yu Darvish. So, what do the Cubs get in this 2-5 trade? Well, there weren't a lot of names, no names other than Luis Campusano who came up in the run-up. I was like, okay, cool, we'll get a high-rank catching prospect, and then his name went off the table. I was like, well, I wonder who these other guys was, and I started to speculate. I was like, oh, are we gonna get Mackenzie Gore? Could we maybe get Jake Cronenworth, exactly the type of hitter that we need? Maybe we're gonna get one of their young arms who have cracked the majors, like Paddock or Lamet. Nope, none of them. One major league starter, something we needed even before trading Darvish, because remember, Jose Quintana, Tyler Chatwood, John Lester, all free agents. And that guy, Zach Davies. Welcome back to the NL Comedy Central. And 4 prospects. 3 of them are teenagers. The other's 20. None have played above rookie ball. None were ranked in the top 100, let alone the top 10 of the Padres system. Are you kidding me? Who the fuck are these guys? You're telling me Jed Hoyer, protege of the great Theo Epstein, who traded for Rizzo twice and allegedly did not want to give up Eloy Jimenez. He couldn't get more than 1 big leaguer, no Cronenworth, no Tommy Pham, no Ty France, anyone who could help us hit and score, which, I mean, I remind you, has been our main fucking problem in September and October for several seasons. Not one of the Padres' top prospects, not one. Why? Why would he even have to trade our best player? Because some dumbass decided to launch a TV network in 2020 A TV network dedicated to a single sports team, as if network television has any life left, as if everything is pointed to this just going downhill. I'm not a businessman. I'm not an entrepreneur. I don't understand finance. I could have told you this was a bad business decision, Mr. Tom Ricketts. What an idiot. This guy's dad, Joe Ricketts, actually accomplished something. He created TD Ameritrade. You might have heard of it. And then he watched his greedy-ass son buy a perennially losing franchise, buy a bunch of real estate and hotels and restaurants around Wrigley Field, watch those businesses die as a result of COVID, and on top of the worst decision in the history of sports media, I mean, who the fuck told this guy in 2018 that a new TV network for one fucking team was a good idea? And then he had to tell Epstein and Hoyer and David Rossi-Wassi, sorry guys, I spent all the money on me. I'm untold millions of dollars in debt. You gotta sell everything. The ball club, that's collateral. Tear it down, strip it for wire. Cubs fired 25% of its business staff, over 100 employees in late October. Ricketts probably told the boys how it was going to go, and Theo Epstein, the tense genius who quit the Red Sox after the 2005 season because he didn't want to trade Hanley Ramirez to the Marlins for Josh Beckett and Mike Lowell, which, to be fair, actually worked out, saw an even greater fire sale on the horizon and resigned with 1 year remaining on his contract. That was a sign. That was the canary in the coal mine. And then when longtime Cubs play-by-play man Len Casper, the voice I grew up listening to, jumped ship for White Sox radio, that was the canary was dead at that point. The canary's fucking dead. Jed Hoyer, who was the general manager of the Padres from late 2009 to the end of 2011, does he still have friends in that building, was outclassed and outmatched by the Rays front office, who got the Snell deal done earlier and for more, scooping up those pitching prospects, while A.J. Preller of the Padres perfectly feinted the financial burden of Darvish's contract in this climate to the poverty-stricken Cubs. Jed bid it, maybe because no other team was entertaining a trade for Darvish. And if Preller saw any desperation, he could even yoink his number 3 prospect Campusano later in talks, leaving the Cubs with a rental starter and a bunch of unknown commodities. Let me tell you about those guys. It's been a few days since this trade happened, so some of the initial overreactions have subsided. I read The Athletic. You get some pretty good analysis and insights, which does inform these episodes I do when I talk about some of this like backroom detail and stuff. But anyway, there's an article by Jim Bowden, former GM of the Reds and the Nationals, who graded this trade. An A- for San Diego, fair enough. And a B for the Cubs? Really? I mean, this looks horrible to the layman. Well, here's the thing. When you have a bunch of prospects who aren't old enough to drink in America, who have maybe a year of rookie ball or some college experience, you got to grade them based on their foundation, their potential, the skills and physique they've shown now. And for what that's worth, Mr. Bowden thinks these guys aren't complete garbage. They could actually be pretty good. So let me tell you about these who's. Yeison Santana. Yeison is the oldest of the bunch at 20. He's a Dominican shortstop who comes in with high marks for fielding, with real potential to get by on glove alone like Andrelton Simmons, though he's also hit for high average. Santana is now 17th in the Cubs prospect rankings, might see him by 2023. Ismael Mena is an 18-year-old outfielder, drawing frightening comparisons to Franchi Cordero and Gregory Polanco. 6'3", 188 pounds already, super fast, 70 grade runner, something we've needed, an athletic, above average defender too. Scouts like his baseball IQ, but an ETA of 2024. Right now he's 16th among Cubs prospects. Then there's a Canadian a Canadian, an outfielder, Owen Caissie, number 11 Cubs prospect out of Burlington, Ontario. Just 18, he came straight from junior ball. We don't even have high school baseball in Canada. Considered a natural right fielder with a strong, accurate arm, a frame of 6'4" and 190 pounds already, a potential slugger thanks to, quote, tremendous exit velocity and plus raw power, though he also strikes out a lot. ETA of, you guessed it, 2024. And highest ranked in the Cubs system now at number 10 is Reginald Preciado, just 17 allegedly out of Panama. Shortstop / third baseman, switch hitter whose bat is his best attribute. And at 6'4", there's hope he can get bigger than his current 185 pounds and stronger too as a result. Raw but very good potential. A big league ETA of 2024. See you later. So that's 4 unproven prospects, all of whom are high risk, high reward. Let's say 2 of them make it. That's great. I wish all these guys the best. I really do. I hope Preciado turns out to be a fucking beast. I hope Owen Caissie can hit some home runs in the bigs. Ismael, Yeison, I hope they have good careers. But they got a long way to go, especially after coronavirus punched minor league baseball in the face in 2020. If you look at the Cubs prospect rankings as a whole, and remember, only one of the guys acquired landed in the top 10, though that's a little wishy-washy because all these guys are so young, they're only bound to increase in the rankings as time goes on. The only players who have reps above Class A are the gentlemen who've already seen the big leagues, like Albert Alzolay, Braylon Marquez, and Christopher Morel. The Cubs front office knew they had to improve a farm system ranked 23rd by MLB Pipeline before 2020, and maybe it was wise to ask the Padres, whose system ranked 2nd in baseball. But I stress the rawness of these 4 new Cubs, and I also want to stress the fact this trade just happened. We don't know what the future holds. Maybe Yu Darvish goes back to throwing wild pitches and allowing home runs all the time. We don't know. There was one major leaguer acquired in that trade, and that's right-handed pitcher Zach Davies, formerly of the Brewers, so Cubs fans may know him, turning 28 with 1 year left of arbitration left on his contract, salary projected of around $8 million. And Davies is a classic mid-rotation piece, an inning eater and a ground ball pitcher. He won't wow you, but he won't go off the rails either. Basically another Kyle Hendricks. Why? Well, besides Hendricks, we have Alzolay and Alec Mills. That's it. Great. In 6 seasons, Davies owns a cumulative 3.79 ERA, 4.18 FIP, 1.275 WHIP, above average in runs allowed or runs not allowed, and a positive ERA plus every year but one, and coming off a career best 2020. A solid rental for a team trying to compete in 2021. But that's not the Cubs. God, I'm sitting on my porch right now, so it's cold and I'm angry. This sucks. This is not a move that signals anything close to competitiveness. If I was Javier Baez or Anthony Rizzo, both heading into the final year of their contracts, I would not ask for an extension right now. I'd ask, what the fuck are we doing? And if not trying to win, as it looks, can I get out of here? Rizzo, especially for all he's done for this team, I would be pissed off if I was Riz. The analysis and articles I've read seem to be optimistic that the Cubs will try to extend at least one of Contreras, Rizzo, Baez, or Bryant, who I believe Kris Bryant was failed to be traded because nobody wants him, so they had to ditch Darvish to cover Ricketts' debts. So the so-called experts think the Cubs are going to try to extend a couple of these guys and trade the other 2 or something like that, but that implies a half-ass retool. No. There's no foundation left. There's no depth on this team. We still carry the same guys who for 3 straight seasons have failed to play anywhere close to winning baseball in the most important part of the season. The owner's fucking broke. Or he's in debt or something. We don't even have a full rotation. I'd advocate a full send rebuild, but honestly, I have zero faith in this front office's ability to get an appropriate return after this Darvish trade. There is no indication they want to sign quality free agents from a money perspective. So, as I said, if I was Willie or Javi or Tony, I would leave the negotiating table and say, call me a year from now when I'm a free agent and you have a single clue as to what the fuck you're doing with this team. Wilson Contreras was allegedly being shopped like Walmart, so out came Jed Hoyer to call it fictional. Okay, good news. And then have the audacity to say that the Darvish dump wasn't financially motivated. Listen, Jed and Rickety Tom. Hey, did you notice that after 2016, when Tom Ricketts became a known face, that Ted Cruz started growing a mustache because he doesn't want to look like this dumbass? To those two gentlemen, don't you dare step foot in the lower mainland, or I'll be glad to show y'all just how many hectares of dense forest we got around the corner. We got a big ocean here too, huh? A lot of places to get lost. Bunch of fucking rodeo clowns. It's hogwash. As in, I wouldn't wash my pig in the water these morons drink. Okay, got to get that off my chest. The Cubs are going to stink for the next couple years, and that's fine. I've followed this team since 2004. I've seen the lows, and if I don't have to watch or pay them much mind, it's okay. I was a fan of baseball before I liked the Cubs. But what a disgrace. Maybe it was delusional to think there was a culture change with this sorry-ass club in the past decade. There is something very wrong in this organization. When the head's rotten, the whole body too, right? I'm glad I'm on the outside looking in as opposed to having to make any sort of decisions. You look at the turnover in coaches too. And I listened to Starting Nine. And back when Theo resigned, I was listening to that podcast. And they were hinting with the anecdote that they know people who have been through the Cubs organization lately. Dallas Braden and Jared Cannabis hinted that there's something bad going on in that organization. And I'm talking about bad management. So that's what's happening, Cubs. Yeah, the hot stove is still running, and the word is Trevor Bauer is asking for a 4 to 5 year deal with a salary of $35 to $40 million a year. Is he crazy? Does he have any idea how cheap this league is being? God, I can't wait for the strike. Americans, you love to speak of reckonings and raptures. Well, Major League Baseball's going to get a biblical flood coming up. Whoa. God, man, I'm going to go smoke.